Canada has eliminated another massive pirate threat in the open sea. It all started when the freighter Maple Dawn, a Canadian-flagged merchant vessel, was streaming steadily through the Gulf of Aden. Its crew of 23 had run this route before, carrying grain and manufactured goods bound for East Africa. But every sailor knew that in these waters, calm seas could turn deadly in a heartbeat. And then it happened. At first, the lookout thought he was seeing dolphins breaking through the surface, but the movement was too fast, too aggressive. Four specks grew on the horizon, cutting hard wakes across the sea. Within minutes, the truth was undeniable. Pirate skiffs, armed and charging. The skiffs fanned out, classic formation. Two went wide, sweeping around the stern, while two others barreled straight at the bow. Their engines screamed, spray flew, and even from the freighter's bridge, the weapons were visible. AK-47s held aloft, belts of ammunition draped across shoulders, and the long silhouette of a rocket-propelled grenade tube. The captain wasted no time. He ordered the crew into the Citadel, the fortified safe room deep within the ship. The distress signal went out immediately. Possible pirate attack, coordinates attached. Any coalition vessel in range, respond. The men sealed themselves inside, powerless to do more than listen as gunfire began cracking against steel. But what the pirates didn't know was that their every move had already been picked up by radar.
They're still shooting by rocket propeller grenade.
This is being hit by RPG. Engineering wants to watch out.
This is clearly an act of piracy. If the merchantmen said that they saw rocket-propelled grenades being fired at.
30 nautical miles away, HMCS Winnipeg, a Canadian Halifax-class frigate on counter-piracy patrol, had been scanning the shipping lanes. The moment the distress call flared across channels, her command room lit up. The Canadian Navy had drilled this exact scenario dozens of times. Within seconds, the course was set. The Winnipeg turned, engines roaring to full speed. And this is where things got interesting. The pirates were already in full assault mode. They sprayed the bridge windows with gunfire. Grappling hooks arced through the air, slamming against railings. Men started climbing. Inside the Citadel, the Maple Dawn's crew heard the clang of boots on deck, the pounding of rifle butts on hatches, the shouted threats, open or die. For years, pirates had gambled on one truth, that help was always too far away. But this time, their gamble failed. The Winnipeg bore down on the scene, her radar locked on, her deck crews ready. The frigate's bow cut through the waves, and within minutes, she was in sight of the ambush. The Canadian sailors didn't wait. Warnings boomed from loudspeakers. This is the Royal Canadian Navy. Drop your weapons immediately. But the pirates didn't flinch. One skiff opened fire directly at the frigate, bullets sparking harmlessly off the armored hull. Another pirate raised an RPG and fired. The rocket hissed over the sea, detonating in a plume of spray. It missed, but that was enough. The Canadians answered. From the deck of the Winnipeg, a C6 general-purpose machine gun opened fire, tracers ripping out across the water. The first burst slammed into the nearest skiff. Fiberglass shattered. The outboard motor exploded in sparks and smoke and flame, and the boat spun out of control. Pirates leapt into the sea as their vessel went dead in the water. At the same time, the frigate's 57mm Mark III gun roared from the bow. The weapon sped fire, a thunderous bark echoing across the waves. A shell slammed just ahead of a second skiff, a near miss that sent water towering skyward. This was a clear message that the forces had arrived only to eliminate the threat. From the deck of the Maple Dawn, trapped crew members could only hear it. The deep thump of naval guns, the rat-a-tat-tat of rifles, the rising roar of chaos outside. Every boom shook the steel beneath their feet. They didn't know who was winning, only that a war was unfolding just meters above their head. While the big guns laid down suppressing fire, The real hunters were already in motion. 2 ribs, rigid inflatable boats, launched from the Winnipeg, packed with armed boarding teams. Each rib skimmed the waves like a predator, bouncing hard as it closed in on the pirate formation. Gunners mounted on the bows fired controlled bursts from M240 machine guns, stitching the sea with lines of fire that herded the pirates into confusion. One pirate boat tried to break away. The rib cut across its path and opened fire. A 3-second burst chewed through the engine block. The skiff coughed smoke, slowed, and then stopped, dead in the water. Pirates threw their rifles overboard, waving their hands in surrender. They were zip-tied on the spot, shoved face first onto the deck of their own skiff as the rib circled back toward the fight. But 2 other skiffs kept pushing, determined to get onto the freighter before it was too late. They were already alongside, grappling hooks swinging, men halfway up the ladders. But this was the moment that changed everything. The ribs arrived just in time. Canadian sailors vaulted onto the deck of the Maple Dawn, weapons raised, boots pounding against steel. The clash was sudden and violent. Pirates caught mid-climb, froze in shock. Some tried to fight. One raised his rifle, only to be dropped by a controlled burst. Another reached for a grenade, but a flashbang exploded at his feet, blinding him before he could pull the pin. Within minutes, the deck was secure. But the fight wasn't done yet. One last skiff had swung wide, circling back for a desperate counterattack. The gunman opened up, spraying wild fire toward the freighter. Bullets sparked across the railings, but the Canadians were ready. A gunner swung his C6 around, unleashing a merciless burst. The rounds tore through the skiff's bow, ripping holes into the fiberglass. The boat bucked, water gushing through. Pirates screamed as it listed sideways and capsized, throwing men into the sea. Silence fell almost as quickly as the violence had started. Smoke drifted across the water. Pieces of shattered boats floated aimlessly. Canadian sailors moved with discipline, sweeping every corner of the freighter's deck, checking hatches, ensuring that no pirate had slipped below. When the crew of the Maple Dawn emerged from the Citadel, they found their ship secured by Canadian sailors, pirates shackled on the deck, and the ribs circling like sharks to ensure that no one slipped away. Relief washed over them. They'd been minutes from disaster, and now they stood free, alive, and under the protection of their own flag. This wasn't just a rescue. It was a message that even a mid-sized navy, when trained and committed, could crush piracy in its tracks.
About 1 RPG launcher, 2 times RPG warheads, 1 times M16.
The surviving pirates were ferried back to Winnipeg. They were an organization, a real strike team. But against discipline, training, and firepower, they'd been dismantled in less than 20 minutes. The seas grew quiet again. The wreckage of skiffs drifted in the swell. The Maple Dawn resumed her course, her crew shaken but alive. And the Winnipeg stood watch, her silhouette etched against the horizon, a reminder that even far from home, Canada was ready to fight. Because when the Royal Canadian Navy arrives, piracy doesn't just fail, it disappears.